Hello, Doctor. HAONAN. So nice to do this presentation. Today, the topic of my presentation would be Chinese New Year rush. The background also would be the dropping zero case policy for COVID-19. And the risk I would like to talk about is the employees who working for transportation system in the risk of the COVID-19. These presentations is separated into four different parts. The first one would be background, the second would be risk, and the third would be how to cope with crisis, and the fourth would be common. The first part would be background. 春运 in Chinese means Chinese New Year travel rush, and it usually begins 15 days before Lunar New Year's Day and lasts for about 1.5 months. Usually from mid-January and late February. Spring Festival is the most important festival in China, as people will take on role for most important annual reunion with their family members. A majority of transportation tickets departing from cities all over China, including train, express train, plane, bus, were all sold out 15 days ahead of the Chinese New Year. These kind of indications that Chinese transportation system are facing incredible pressure to offer service for passengers, not only the quantity of the ticket, but also the service provided by employees of the transportation. However, not only passengers are in the risk of being unable to buy ticket to go back home, but also employees who are working in different transportation system in China, especially who are working for train transportation system that need to handle over billions people and majority passenger in Chinese New Year travel. The risk. In this background, the risk I suppose for the employee is weeks ago, Chinese government announced that China give up a zero COVID policy and strategy. Just a few days after announcement, there was the biggest and the most severe outbreak of the COVID-19 in the world, and the infection number in China have reached all-time highest since the first outbreak in Wuhan, China. Meanwhile, people are lining up at fever clinic in many Chinese cities. The dropping policy of COVID-19 crashed to the Chinese New Year's travel rush, and it would cause serious medical problems for employees who work for transportation system. In terms of the COVID-19 and the transportation during Chinese New Year's rush, billion passengers depart from different areas through China, and it is inevitable that most of passengers are contracted by COVID-19 as abrupt reopening policy according medical department of China. How to make sure that employees of transportation system keep Chinese transportation running normally and secure them from infection of the COVID-19 would be upcoming risk and a problem for Chinese transportation department. The third part is that how the transportation company and the department to cope with this crisis. The strategies they use, there is 4 strategies they use to cope with this crisis. The first one would be guide workers to stagger their hometown and return to work, means make an arrangement for people, not a rush once a time. To arrange passengers, to arrange people, make an announcement that they should go home or buy ticket, make a good arrangement for travel. And the second one would be seriously do a good job of the transportation epidemic prevention and control. Means is in the level of the management to push them to let them make a better management for prevention of the employees catching COVID. The third part would be strengthen the operation of the dynamic monitoring. Means this strategy means they use a system, they set up a system to monitor passenger, to monitor not only passenger but also employees, how they feel, what's their medical conditions, something like that, whether they have the fevers, whether they got coughing, sneezing. So they have to do something to prevent a large outbreak during the employees. The fourth one is strengthen the sharing of information reporting. It's kind of the inter-province, interactions and communication. For example, the department got infectious, got a patient, so they need to report this as far as possible to make sure the diseases, the COVID, not gonna infect other more employees. Okay, this is the first. There will be the following slide would be explain this fourth strategy clearly. This is first one. This second one, okay, we just skip it. Okay, the fourth part would be the comment of my personal thinking about this. I believe that, personally speaking, I believe that current prevention for employees catching COVID-19 are quite sufficient and comprehensive. But I still reckon that there are some limitation and improvement that can be made by Chinese Transportation Department. In terms of the advantage of this policy and strategy, Chinese Transportation Department could monitor and keep eyes on medical conditions of the employee extensively to make reaction quickly as the existence of the dynamic monitoring. And the part two would be, I believe there's some limitation and improvement can be made by Chinese government. The first one would be the alternative system that aim to handle insufficient employees working in transportation system when they are faced severe outbreak in the workplace. It means, for example, the employee who are working in transportation like train station. So what if employees catching COVID and there's no sufficient employees to do his or her job? So means that that would be burden for others employees working at that place. So it needs alternative system. This is what I call to keep the transportation system work normally, even though there's infection among employees, to in order to prevent the burning out of other employees. The second one would be enhance the insurance of the disease for employees working in there and improve the medical health care for them in the workplace. As mentioned before, that Chinese Spring Festival is the most important festival in China, in this nation. So everyone want to take on road, to buy a ticket to go home for annual reunion with family. So the employees still working on transportation during Chinese New Year's. It sacrificed a lot. It sacrificed their precious opportunity to meet other relatives who are difficult to meet once a year. So means they sacrifice a lot. So I mean, I guess not only department, not only company, they need, it's not called compensation. It's more like a bonus. It's more like more medical health cares and insurance for the diseases, because it can ensures their life better or good, even though because they are in a really severe risk of the COVID-19. Finally, we all know that Chinese New Year is the most important festival for all Chinese people, and most employees are Chinese either. So they also have decided to reunite with their family members, parents, siblings, sons, and daughters, and relatives. They work on festival for living and their contribution for this country. They deserve high insurance rate, good medical condition, workplace, and importantly, people like us should show respect, like me, like me, should show respect from authority and people like us. Okay. Okay, that's my presentation for this assignment. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
As one of the largest glassware production company in Europe, Duralex currently are facing a huge risk as a side effect caused by the Russian invasion of Ukraine, where Russia has decided to cut off its gas pipeline towards Europe as a retaliation of European sanctions in solidarity with Ukraine. This suspension has resulted in a massive decline in Europe's main source of energy that has resulted in the spike of gas prices throughout Europe, with gas prices surging 600% compared to the previous decades and 4 times higher than Europe's nearest competitor in US and China. Manufacturing, as a sector that consumes the most energy, will be hit particularly hard by this, where production in companies such as Duralex being untenable. Combined with protectionism and subsidy incentive coming from US and competition from China, European manufacturing might be pushed into relocating overseas. There will be significant risk facing Duralex as a result of this crisis. It can risk the company competitive edge against American and Chinese manufacturing because it has to downsize its operation during winter, which risks damaging the equipment inside the factory, as molten glass used to make the glassware in Duralex can solidify if the heat used to keep the machine stop completely. The company also has to contemplate laying off its worker as energy invoice takes a greater percentage of the company expenditure. This challenge has pushed many companies to reconsider moving its production to United States, where they have offered subsidies towards manufacturing companies that utilize clean energy as its main energy source, in an effort to incentivize European manufacturing companies who use primarily clean energy. This, however, poses another risk for Duralex as there is no guarantee of success if they move a significant portion of their production factories to the United States. In light of this crisis, Duralex has brought a few solutions to combat it. Throughout this winter, the company has decided to stop all glassware production in their factory and put all its furnaces into hibernation. This is done to spend as little of energy possible while avoiding the risk of hardening molten glass that can damage the equipment. This has allowed the company to minimize energy costs as it is too expensive to maintain production during winter. By April, the company hopes that the energy price will go down from its winter high demand and has also been able to procure an agreement with newer and more affordable energy source that will allow them to resume production. Press statement has also been released by Duralex to state its confidence in overcoming this crisis and to bolster confidence among its investors. The company has stressed the importance of Made in France that is in line with French government agenda to help reshore and retain green manufacturing industries such as Duralex. In my opinions, Duralex has implemented a good strategy in handling its crisis. as there is no viable energy alternative available in the present, and thus little to be done until gas prices go down in the spring. Their met in the France appeal also made sense to both assuage its worker about their job security and future, while simultaneously appealing to the French government, who hope to retain their local manufacturing industry. The same goes for its energy contract that both helps to reduce company reliance on Russian gas and to benefit government subsidies on green energy companies. Duralex has done their best considering the small likelihood of this crisis ever happening in the first place. In addition, in my opinion, Duralex should also permanently diversify its energy source and to reduce using energy that come from politically unstable area in order to prevent this crisis from ever happening again. Thank you.